Maheen, thank you so much again for taking out the time to meet with me. I'm really excited to kick off the Chief Future Officer series with you. I'll give you a bit of context again. I know we talked about this, but the reason we decided to start the Chief Future Officer series was to have a platform where we can bring together top finance leaders in the Middle East to discuss and share insights on the future of finance in the region. And that's exactly what we're going to do here today. I just want to have a regular chat with you, get to know you, and get your perspective on different topics in finance. So, shall we begin?
Sure, let's
Awesome.
go.
So, you've had a really diverse and dynamic career, almost a decade in Saudi, across logistics, e commerce, and now tech. Before we dive into all of that, I'd love for you to tell us a bit about your journey.
So let's say that if you would have asked me about 10 years ago that I would be working at a tech company and not like as a partner at an audit firm, I would be what? I would be like, no, that's not what's going to happen. I am going to be a partner at an audit firm
Yeah.
because that is what my background was. I did my ACCA, so that's what was the conventional path. But so like I actually got this job. It was a very random job that I got when I started out my career at a company who said that their head office is actually in UAE, but they have like a small. They're trying to set up like a small office sort of a thing, and they have a warehouse, but they don't have an office. They have a warehouse sort of situation in Riyadh. And why don't you come and interview with us at a warehouse somewhere in Sulai in Riyadh? And like when I had like at that time, I think I was around 21, and I had to go and tell my dad this, and my dad was like, "What? You cannot go and work like at a warehouse. Sort of, I will not allow that." And I was like, "No, no,
Yeah.
I have to go because this is my only chance of starting getting a job. I have to go."
Yeah.
So I went and we interviewed, and then at that time I used to live like between Riyadh and Dubai, and then I went to their Dubai office and I met all the people, and I was like, "No, okay, let's
This is legit.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing something. So yeah, okay, fine. I can do that." And like that is how I ended up joining Wadi and Wadi.com. And honestly, it was so amazing because it was truly what a startup would be. They had raised quite a bit of funding, so they were very experimental. So they would do their core business was e-commerce. They moved into marketplace. They moved into grocery retail, online grocery. So and they established like a base for a lot of startups that are working right now. So that was something that was really exciting. It was very messy, but it was at the same time, I had a very vast curve of learning experience where I was not stuck doing just data entry. Suddenly, within 6 months, somebody told me to create like a whole P&L of this entire department. And I was like, I know this because I've studied this very well, but I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how to work on a system, but like it helped me to learn all of that very, very fast. Then when I moved on with the skill set that I had, then I moved on to Shippa, and they basically hired me to create this particular logistics company from scratch. And then by that time, I was like, okay, fine, you know what, I can do it because I have been through legal and I've been through tech wise things. So I think so. Shippa delivery was quite nice, and what that taught me was that building something from scratch in Saudi, a lot of legal paperwork and a lot of steps, and how competitive a market is you will get to know once you are knee deep into it and you have to fight with your clients and customers on like one real of pricing sort of. And then finally I think Squadio was something that it's sort of like a full circle thing. Honestly, it's very much like a less of a job, more of like a creative lab thing. We actually do have a creative lab at Squadio, and that is something that Squadio is actually. It's like we're constantly evolving and we're constantly building. So we set up our UAE entities, our US entities, upgraded on like learned about the business, which was completely different from what I'm used to, working on their pricing models, changing company strategy. Honestly, it's amazing. And most of the credit goes to my boss actually, who is very much open to letting someone else run the show, and the very, very supportive investor ecosystem that we have here at Squadio as well.
Okay, I want to know a little bit more about Scordio, by the way. So you stepped into the CFO role at Scordio after years in operational finance, like you just mentioned, right? So I want to understand what was the biggest mindset shift when the role stopped being just about numbers and started being more about direction and leading. How did you feel about that? And what was that mindset shift?
So I think, see, if you're good at finance, it should not be just being good at like creating a P&L or looking at your financials. That's very important. You should be well versed in it. There's no question about that. But as and when you grow and you become a leader, and that will just happen at any role. It will not just happen at like a finance leadership role, but any sort of leadership role. You have to step outside the boundaries of your own department and then ask questions and have like a big look at things on a bigger perspective. So it's not just my numbers correct. It's also going to be, so what we are building, what our product is it sufficient and is it sustainable enough? So these sort of questions are something that you need once you become a leader. It's not going to be just okay. We have 20% margin or we have 30% margin. So okay, good, my job here is done.
Yeah.
So it's honestly it's a lot to do with how much you are able to challenge other people, how much you're able to understand your business. And that is actually what happened when I came to Scodio. I was hired to lead strategy, to be someone who could manage the investor relationship. So in order to manage that, you need to have like a full perspective. It's not just going to be finance.
Okay, so on that, startups usually move really fast, right? And what you said that, as a leader, you need to have a look at the bigger picture. But in most cases, finance is considered as a bottleneck, right? How do you keep things controlled without slowing the business down?
Okay, so I think, see, it's finance needs to be embedded in your system. It's not something that you are going to. I do not want people to go back and forth to finance team and then come. No, I want it to be embedded in the system. So something that I normally do whenever I'm working is that I first do like an education sort of a thing where I embed this thing in every department as to with regards to even if it is sales, I'll tell them, okay, this is what is doable, this is what is not doable, so that guys don't have to come back to me or anybody from our finance team on what we can afford and what we cannot afford. Plus, then building that flow of like an approval system that is already embedded in the system, so that you don't have to, like, people are self-aware of these things. Like, for example, one of the favorite things that we did was that once we were automating our hiring, we had this hiring projection sort of a thing in our system ClickUp that we use, so that
Yeah.
anything that was above the threshold, it was a no-go. You didn't have to come back and ask me. But anything that was within the threshold, you're gold. You can go ahead with it. So the idea is that we don't wait the business to come to finance, just embed it into the business. People should know all of these things beforehand instead of after.
No, that's very true, actually. And I think that's one thing that I'm not in finance, I'm in marketing. But even in our company, it's like, okay, if you want to spend something and it's within a certain threshold, you don't have to get an approval from anyone. It'll just like automatically the payments will go through. So that's smart. And I agree, that's how it should be. I was going through your LinkedIn and I saw that you've been very closely involved in fundraising. I want to understand from your point of view what's something investors in this region care deeply about that finance teams sometimes might miss.
Okay. So I actually have a one-on-one with our investors almost like on a monthly basis. So
Okay.
I think investors mostly want to focus on sustainability. So it's like, it's not going to be just how much is your burn rate, how much is your margin, what is your payback period, but it's on what value does this business bring, not just as a business, but to this particular region. How does your particular idea, your startup helps this particular region, and will it sustain in the longer run? So it needs to be something that the fundraising needs to be on a long term. So like one round of 5 million, 10 million creates a value of like 100 million. Sustainability is something that is, I think, very much valued. It's not going to be just go on do multiple rounds of funding. It's like one round. How much is your impact? How long can you last? Is this a model that will be used for this particular region? While a lot of things might work for Silicon Valley, it might not work in the GCC.
Yeah,
So I
true.
think, yeah, sustainability for sure.
Okay, you mentioned a while ago about hiring, right? So let's talk a little bit about hiring in finance. So hiring for finance at a startup is completely different from, let's say, hiring in a conventional company. What do you look for in your first few finance hires, and what's a red flag that people often overlook?
This is actually a very good question. I love hiring people, and I've done most of the hiring. Even when I was like a junior, I was participated in hiring from the beginning. So um, I think probably my take would be nice on this. So like something that is very important is that the person needs to have exceptional communication skills and they need to be curious. So I want to have someone who will not like shy away from asking people questions, because this is something that's very common in finance team, where finance teams are very background people. They do not want to, they'll message people, they'll slack people, they'll email people, but they will not like say, listen, let's book a meeting and clear this,
Talk
or
about
they'll
it.
say, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's see how did you guys do this and why did you guys do it. So somebody who I want will always hire will be someone who has very good communication skills and someone who is curious, who wants to learn more, who just does not want to say, okay, P&L, balance sheet, all done, ratios calculated. So calculation is not enough. You have to ask why.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes you also have to ask how.
Yeah.
How did this happen? So that is also something. And something that's a red flag, honestly, is people who come from corporate mindset are different compared to people who want to work in startups.
Yeah.
Startups require a lot of agility.
Yeah.
You have to be very flexible. We will not have manuals for things because we literally came up with the process 3 days ago. So we
Yeah.
will not have a manual for it because we all decided that this is the process in a meeting that we had. Okay.
Yeah.
And if somebody will find time, maybe they will create like a manual, but otherwise we will not have a manual for it. So you'll just learn on the job.
Yeah.
So people who work on very, very fixed system, who cannot budge, who cannot say, no, this is the presentation I'm used to and that is how I will do it. This is the only font I can use in my presentation. Or people who, like when you create reports, sometimes, and my thing is that I work on a 80-20 model. 80% of the work is done. Please move on.
Yeah.
We are a startup. We don't have perfection anyways. Move
Yeah.
on. Do
Yeah.
the next thing. So I think red flag would be people who optimize for like very sharp perfection and accuracy, but not on the impact. That is something that is probably people who I think are not like startup people. That's something that your domain is corporate.
When my manager sees this interview, he's gonna be really happy because I think as a startup, we like, and being in marketing, we keep saying this to ourselves and the rest of the team. You cannot get 100% all the time. We have to 80-20 some things, and it's very important to like ruthlessly prioritize and understand where that effort should go. If it's something like that will have a much bigger impact, yes, 100% makes sense. But something that will have the same impact with 80-20, then like 80-20 should be the way to go. So I completely agree with you, and I think he'll be really happy to hear what you just said as well. Okay, so mine, I think you're stuck. Yes. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I think, yeah, I lost you there. I did not get your question.
Yeah, it's okay. I think you're back now. You were lagging a little bit. I hope it doesn't lag
Yeah.
anymore. Okay, so my next question is on tech and automation. So, in your experience, what's one piece of tech or automation that genuinely changed your team's day to day? Not in theory, but actually in practice.
Okay, so anyways do, I think everybody, majority of the people and startups anyways do cloud accounting and things, but something that really helped us, and this is not generally just for finance team, it was overall, it was Power BI. Power BI really made our lives so much easier. We did not have to manually, like for, like sometimes I just need to get one number, but I will have to download a bunch of data and then calculate it. For sure, Power BI. Now we have like a live dashboard. You can dig down as much as you want in Power BI, and it's live. It's a beautiful software. It helps you for like for us, we have like live dashboards for hirings that we have to do, jobs that are open, hirings that we have done, roles that are like most required to lease, like all of the pro- projected profitability. Just have to like link our data once and then let Power BI do its thing. Honestly, Power BI is a very game changer software, which I did not use before. I actually have only started using it like an year or so ago, and like now
Okay.
I've actually learned and studied it, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna learn
More
Way
of
more,
it.
because it's actually quite advanced. It's like better. I would say it's better than a lot of AI softwares that we have.
Okay. No, that's very interesting to hear. And I've heard that from like a lot of CFOs that Power BI is for like data visualization, it is their go-to. Okay. While you were talking about this other thought came to my mind. As a CFO, how do you or do you encourage other team members, like other departments, to also use AI? Do you do that? Do you think it's important in today's day and age?
For sure, I think for us, we have already automated our receivables. So, like, we no longer go and manually follow up with our clients that you have to pay money. It's the entire thing is automated, where the moment somebody's due date has passed, they'll get an automated email, statement of account, reminder number that this and this money is due, please pay your balance. It is very important to always upskill yourself, regardless of whether it is you're learning AI or whether it is something else. It is very, very important that you continuously upskill. For sure, for AI, I think there must be very few people in corporate or in like tech workforce who do not use ChatGPT. So I think everybody does it.
Yeah,
So I think yes, of course, I 100% encourage it to like automate whatever sort of, if you can automate your emails, you can automate your email replies, your calendar scheduling. So for sure, I mean, I always encourage my team to go study every program or even articles or prompts that I read. For
yeah.
sure, I go and share with my team that guys, this is something that you guys should look into. It's very nice and it's
Okay.
really helpful. So, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Okay, so this brings me to the next question. You've built and rebuilt a lot. ERP, payroll, budgeting, compliance. What's one painful but valuable lesson from those early system building days that you could share with us?
Okay, so I think you do not know how quickly you can scale, and that system that we bought then would very quickly not be able to handle your growth,
Yeah.
which is a very good thing, which is a very good thing, because maybe you bought like a smaller system to say, okay, you know what, I'll manage it with like a bunch of other tools and things that are available, and did not consider that you will, grow very quickly and scale, which is fine. That is a very normal thing to do because you have to cost save in the beginning as well.
Yeah.
It helps to not over customize your tools in the beginning, and use more of a generic tools, honestly, whenever you are starting out. So do not go and buy like a SAP or a
Yeah.
NetSuite Oracle module right in the beginning. You don't need it. You will
Yeah.
need, can very much work with the very basic ERPs, not
Like
even ERPs,
zeros or
like zeros, ovos, and all. So do not build for like today's pain. You have to like build for tomorrow's scale. So like think in that perspective, and then see, get always use the software that is very user friendly and the UI UX is nice. So that
yeah.
it's, so when, because you spend a lot of time on it, so you want the software to be very easy to use and understand. Complicated softwares are very difficult to not only use, to explain to other people as well.
No, I
And
agree
sometimes,
totally.
a lot of times what happens is the softwares are very complicated. Like Odoo is actually a very good example. Odoo is a very nice software, but it is so open-ended. You can do so many things with it that it's very easy to get lost, because obviously not everybody is from a tech background, or not everybody is like a Odoo developer sort of a person who will understand what is its capability. So you end up not using it. So do not
Yeah.
spend money on like very, very huge or very overcomplicated softwares. Start small, but think in a long term perspective that yes, you will need to scale eventually.
Yeah.
So is this easy enough to be converted or not?
You know, that's very good advice. Okay, so this brings me to my second last question. You've been part of the Saudi ecosystem as it's grown. What excites you most about where Saudi's tech industry is heading, and where do you think finance teams need to level up to keep pace?
I've lived in Saudi for like around 20 years. And now the momentum in the tech sector is very, very like it's very fast. We are getting a lot of funding, we are hiring faster, we're building very serious products, and it's not just replicating whatever was created in Silicon Valley and Saudi, but we're creating products which are just
For the
for this
region?
particular market. So I think Saudi, of course, is what I want. Saudi, of course, is like growing very rapidly. So that in that sense, it's amazing. I really like it. For finance team, I think it's learning to grasp all of that change, because with a lot of new businesses or new ideas comes a lot of new regulatory situations that will come. Probably would not have come, like you would come up with an idea for which there would be no regulator, but and it is very difficult sometimes to explain when you're getting audited as to what your business does and how you generate money.
Yeah.
So for finance team, I think it's very important to understand and then to be able to explain it to other people how this business is working, generating money, paying its customer or paying its people. I think that is something that is very important. So it's focusing on reporting is one thing, regulatory requirements, regulatory reporting is one thing, but also educating your founders and your team members on what is doable and what is not doable.
Yeah. No, no, that's very good. Okay, last question, Maheen. For finance professionals who want to grow into leadership roles, especially in startups, what's one thing they won't learn from a course or certification?
It's confidence, honestly. You can read all the books and you can do a lot of courses, but you need to be confident and you need to have communication skills to be able to talk to a lot of people. You have to ask people very random questions to build that relationship. It does not only have to be about business,
Yeah,
it just has to be regular questions that will get you to start a conversation. Because you're not going to start a conversation with anyone at a meeting or at a conference saying, "Hey, do you want to raise money or are you raising money for your business?" You're not going to do it. You're going to do it, "Hey, where are you from? Are you here? Like, what? Why are you here in a conference?" Like that. So you have
yeah,
to be confident. You have to be confident enough to be able to start the conversation first.
yeah.
So for anyone who's in leadership role, for sure, confidence and have excellent communication skills. And if somebody wants to take a course on that, I would highly recommend that that is something that you spend time on, taking a course on just basic communication skills, starting up a conversation, looking at people, for sure.
No, I think that's a very good general advice as well. Like, not just for people in finance, but
Yeah.
anyone who's getting into a leadership role. I personally, at one point in my life, has have struggled with like social anxiety. So I think being at this point, it like makes you realize and I think I got over it by just talking to people. And like when you
Yeah.
have that on a daily basis, you just start feeling more confident in yourself and realize that, okay, it was not so bad. I could do it all along. So that's very good advice. And this brings us to the rapid fire round. I will ask you 5 questions and I want you to like just give me one word answers if the question requires one word answers. So are you ready, Maheen?
Sure, sure.
Let's do it. If you have to automate one finance task forever, which one are you picking?
Consolidating foreign entities into one.
Okay. The weirdest thing you've had to approve a budget for.
One won an iPhone in a competition, and he moved to a country where the inflation was very sky high. So we ended up having to pay like twice as much for an iPhone as you would here, because he had gone to a country where the iPhone was costing almost twice as much.
Wow.
And he had won that competition, and when he won it, he was, I think he was like somewhere in UAE or like Egypt. But
Yeah.
by the time he went back to his country, we couldn't, and I was like, just take the money and like leave.
Buy it
Yeah,
yourself.
we were like, no, we have to give him the phone, and we had to give him the phone.
Okay, wow. Okay, what's more painful, budget season or audit season?
Audit season for sure, because like I said, you have to sit and explain the auditor of how your business works and what is it, and it's how different. Audit season for sure.
Okay, next question. Okay, what's one tool apart from Excel that your finance team actually uses?
We use Sift Analytics. It's a tool that is integrated with Zero, which
Okay.
really helps in combining consolidation, analytics, ratios, everything. Honestly, it's very cool tool.
Okay, very interesting. Final question. If your team made a finance meme about you, what would it say?
Have you seen that meme from The Office where Steve Carell is like, "No, oh God, please no." I think that is what my entire office would tell. This is Maheen, because whenever we ask her something, she's like,
Spoken like a true CFO.
"Yeah."
You know, this thought came to my mind right now. Like, I'm asking CFOs this question. How would you feel if, like, I actually made a meme like that for you?
I'm okay with it. It's fine. I love memes. It's
Okay.
completely fine.
All right. Thank you so much, Maheen. This brings us to the end of the interview. It was honestly really, really nice talking to you. I had a great time, and I think your thoughts were really refreshing. And it truly shows that, you're a CFO at a startup because that mindset, it shows that you're working in a very fast growing, fast scaling environment. And I personally learned a lot from this conversation.
Thank
Awesome.
you, Abiba. It was very nice talking to you as well.
Thank you, Maheen. Have a good day.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye
Bye.
bye.